Listen to me carefully. You were watching this because you have already realized something that the masses refuse to admit. Discipline is a battlefield, not a classroom. You didn't click on this video to feel warm and motivated. You clicked because you are tired of being soft, tired of the guilt, tired of watching your potential rot while you wait for the perfect Monday to arrive. Machiavellian wisdom does not beg you to be good. It teaches you to be effective. And right now, your enemy is not the world. Your enemy is the mirror. The man looking back at you has been sold a fantasy that consistency is about feeling ready, about waiting for inspiration, about protecting a streak like it's a sacred trophy. That is not strategy. That is slavery. Today, we are not rebuilding your habits. We are reconstructing your identity. We are burning the mask of the perfect doer and forging the mind of the Machiavellian returner. The prince does not stay on his throne because he never stumbles. He stays on his throne because when he is stabbed, he seals the wound with iron and raises his sword before the blood dries. This is boring. It is repetitive. It is ugly. But if you absorb this, you will become dangerously consistent. Not because you are special, but because you have removed the emotion from the equation. You will no longer negotiate with yourself. You will no longer beg for motivation. You will simply move. Here are 8 hidden Machiavellian truths about consistency and procrastination. Listen with the ears of a strategist, not a patient. 1. The illusion of perfection, the courtesan's mask. You were sold a fantasy. Every self-help book, every dopamine trap application, every influencer whispering the same poison. If you just stick to the plan perfectly, you'll finally become the man you want to be. But nobody mentions the snap. Nobody prepares you for the morning you wake up and realize you broke your 3-week streak. Nobody tells you that the guilt doesn't just sit on your shoulder, it eats your spine. Machiavellian analysis. Perfectionism is not discipline. Perfectionism is fear dressed in expensive robes. You are terrified of being seen as average. You would rather not play the game at all than risk looking clumsy in front of the court. So you curate, you perform, you post the highlight reel while your real life collects dust. Understand this. The prince does not need to be loved for his flawlessness. He needs to be feared for his resilience. You are currently acting like a courtesan, obsessed with maintaining a flawless appearance, terrified that one crack in the mask will reveal the struggling man beneath. But a crack is not a weakness. A crack is where the light of strategy enters. The masses worship the unbroken chain. They look at the calendar of green checks and think, that man is disciplined. No, that man is anxious. He is guarding his streak like a dragon guards gold, afraid that if the number resets, his identity resets with it. You have been chasing the wrong trophy. Machiavellian example. Consider the mercenary captain. He does not boast about never losing a battle. He boasts about winning the war despite losing 3 skirmishes. If you obsess over never dropping the sword, you will freeze when the sword is knocked from your hand. The disciplined man is not the one who never drops the weapon. The disciplined man is the one who picks it up mid-stride and keeps swinging. Your problem is not that you lack willpower. Your problem is that you have attached your self-worth to a fragile number. You have built your castle on sand, and you are surprised when the tide comes in. Stop performing. Start returning. 2. The streak is a leash, the cage of gold. The streak is a trap. Machiavellian thought. The clever ruler never allows his subjects to know exactly how he maintains order. If they believe his power relies on a fragile routine, they will wait for the crack. When you broadcast your streak, when you tattoo it on your identity, you give the world a map of your breaking point. You tell yourself the streak proves you belong. Day 7, day 30, day 100. You post the screenshots. You feel the dopamine. But examine this feeling closely. Is it pride or is it relief? You are not celebrating growth, you are celebrating survival. You have made it through another day without the shame of resetting. That is not mastery, that is walking on eggshells. And then the streak breaks, and what happens? You don't just feel behind, you feel erased, as if the 30 days of effort never happened, as if you were back at zero, naked and exposed. This is the psychology of the leash. The leash is golden, it is bejeweled, but it still controls your neck. Machiavellian wisdom. The prince must be unpredictable. If your enemy knows that you always attack at dawn, they will be ready at dawn. If you chain yourself to the expectation of a perfect streak, you are predictable, you are brittle. The collapse of the streak is not your failure, it is your liberation. The moment the chain breaks, you are free to choose again. Most people cannot see this. They mourn the broken chain and then sit in the rubble, waiting for permission to rebuild. Do not wait. The freedom to return is the only perfection worth chasing. Example: the Borgia family did not rise to power by maintaining a spotless reputation. They rose by absorbing scandals, surviving poison attempts, and returning to the negotiating table before their enemies finished celebrating. The break is not the end of your reign. It is the test of your legitimacy. Fail the test, and you prove you were never meant to rule yourself. 3. The spiral of return, the navigation of the wolf. Let us kill the myth with a blade. Progress is not linear. It never has been. Look at the flight path of any long-haul aircraft. Is it a straight line? No. The plane is off course almost the entire journey. Wind pushes it north, turbulence drags it south, air traffic forces a detour. If the pilot panicked every time the compass needle drifted, the plane would never leave the runway. But the pilot does not panic. Why? Because the pilot understands the Machiavellian secret of navigation. You are never on course. You are always correcting course. The plane reaches the destination not through perfection, but through relentless, boring, microscopic adjustment. 1,000 tiny turns, 1,000 moments of noticing the drift and pulling the yoke back. Nobody claps for the autopilot. Nobody posts a screenshot of the turbulence. They just arrive. You are the pilot. Your goal is not to avoid the wind. Your goal is to shorten the time between the drift and the correction. Machiavellian application. The wolf does not chase the deer in a straight line. The deer is faster, more agile. If the wolf ran in a straight line, it would starve. The wolf succeeds because it anticipates the zigzag. It recovers lost ground instantly. When the deer jukes left, the wolf does not stop to mourn the missed bite. It pivots on its claws and accelerates. You have been acting like a deer, fragile, reactive, defined by the chase. You need to think like the wolf. The wolf does not identify as a streak keeper. The wolf identifies as a returner. The deer escapes for an hour. The wolf is still hunting. The deer escapes for a day. The wolf is still hunting. The wolf is not the strongest animal in the forest, but it is the one that refuses to stay hungry. How quickly do you return? That is the only metric that matters in the Machiavellian court. 4. The physics of fast restarts, the poisoned wine. The world rewards speed, not frantic, chaotic speed, but the speed of decision. There is a gap between the moment you realize you have fallen and the moment you choose to rise. In that gap, the devil whispers. He says, you will fail again tomorrow. He says, maybe this goal was never meant for you. He says, start fresh on Monday. Today is already ruined. Machiavellian truth? That voice is not your conscience. That voice is the enemy within, and it must be executed without trial. You cannot reason with it. You cannot negotiate. You must override it with immediate physical action. The physics of the restart are simple. Inertia is a law. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. Your job is not to run the marathon at world record pace. Your job is to shift the state from rest to motion. That is it. Once the object moves, the laws of the universe work for you, not against you. But you make a fatal error. You think the first action must be perfect. You think the first sentence must be genius. You think the first workout must be an hour. Machiavellian truth? That strategy does not concern itself with elegance. It concerns itself with positioning. Lower the bar until it is embarrassing. Do one push-up. Write one ugly sentence. Open the document and type garbage. If you are not embarrassed by how small the restart is, you are not restarting fast enough. The prince does not care if his first move is clumsy. He cares that he moved while his enemy hesitated. Example, Niccolo Machiavelli himself, after being tortured and exiled from Florence, did not wait for the perfect moment to rebuild his mind. He was broken, disgraced, physically ruined. But he sat down each evening and wrote. He wrote clumsily at first. He wrote without knowing if anyone would ever read it. That manuscript became The Prince. His restart was not glorious. His restart was ugly, desperate, and small, but it was immediate. And that immediacy changed the world. Do not wait for glory. Move now while the shame is still fresh. Use the shame as fuel, not as anchor. 5. The identity anchor, the mask you choose. Tactics are temporary. Systems break. Apps crash. Planners fill up and get thrown away. What remains when the scaffolding collapses? Your identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are. Most men are walking, breathing, self-fulfilling prophecies. They say, I am a procrastinator. They say, I have no discipline. They say, I always quit. And because the brain is a loyal servant, even to a cruel master, it begins to collect evidence for this prosecution. You missed a workout. See, I am lazy. You scrolled for 2 hours. See, I have no control. You ate the sugar. See, I am weak. Machiavellian observation: the court does not care if you are actually weak. The court cares about the mask you wear. If you wear the mask of the quitter long enough, the court will believe it, and more dangerously, you will believe it. The mask will fuse with your skin. But here is the leverage. The same mechanism that traps you can set you free. You do not need to believe the new story today. You just need to act it out. The brain is a terrible historian. It rewrites the past to match the present. If you get back to work after 10 minutes of scrolling and you write it down, I returned after distraction, the brain begins to revise. Perhaps I am not a procrastinator. Perhaps I am someone who returns. This is not positive thinking. This is data manipulation. You are manufacturing evidence for your defense. Machiavellian example: Cesare Borgia was known as cruel, ruthless, and manipulative, but he was never known as indecisive. His mask was not kind. His mask was decisive. He wore it so consistently that even his enemies believed he was born with it. But masks are forged, not born. Forge your mask today. Not the mask of the perfect man. That mask shatters. Forge the mask of the returner, the man who always, eventually, gets back up. Start collecting the receipts. Every ugly comeback is a brick in your new fortress. Eventually, the fortress is impenetrable, and you forget you ever lived in the mud. 6. The anti-fragile loop, the venison and the wolf. Resilience is the ability to survive the hit. Anti-fragility is the ability to be strengthened by the hit. This is the highest level of the Machiavellian game. Most men fear failure. They build walls, systems, and safeguards to ensure they never taste the dirt. But the dirt is where the nutrients are. The man who has never failed is not strong. He is untested. He is a soldier who has only trained on flat ground, and the first hill will break his legs. Machiavellian wisdom: the prince does not fear rebellion. He knows that a small rebellion swiftly crushed reveals the traitors in his court. He learns who he can trust. He sees the cracks in his defenses. The rebellion is not the disaster. The rebellion is the intelligence report. You need to treat your failures as intelligence reports. You missed 3 days of work. Why? Was the task too vague? Were you exhausted? Did you not eat enough? Did you surround yourself with distractions? Stop asking, "Why am I so weak?" Start asking, "What broke in my system?" Example: a mercenary army loses a skirmish. The weak commander executes the soldiers who retreated. The Machiavellian commander examines the terrain, adjusts the formation, sharpens the blades, and thanks the enemy for exposing the weakness in his left flank. He does not thank them verbally. He thanks them by incorporating the lesson and returning stronger. You must build the anti-fragile loop. Fail. Extract the data. Do not wallow. Dissect. Adjust the system. Make one tiny change. Restart immediately. Repeat. With each loop, the gap between failure and restart shrinks. The failure becomes smaller. The lesson becomes sharper. Eventually, the loop runs on autopilot. You fail, you adjust, you move, all without the drama, without the shame, without the existential crisis. You become dangerous because you are no longer fragile. You are now the thing that grows teeth when it is hit. 7. The collapse as crucible. The burning ship. There is a moment immediately after the streak breaks where you stand at a fork in the road. Two paths diverge. The first path, self-flagellation. You punish yourself with guilt. You scroll social media to numb the shame. You tell yourself you will start again on Monday, knowing deep down that Monday is a ghost. This path is well-trodden. It is soft. It leads nowhere. The second path, the immediate return. You acknowledge the break without emotion. Yes, I missed. Yes, the streak is dead. It was a number. It was never the real target. And you take one small, ugly step forward. Machiavellian truth: this moment is the crucible. Most men believe their character is revealed during success. No, success is easy. Success is validating. Character is revealed in the 2 seconds after the mask shatters. Julius Caesar was captured by pirates. This was not a minor setback. This was a catastrophic collapse of his security. A lesser man would have begged or paid the ransom and fled. Caesar did not. He laughed at the pirates. He told them he would crucify them. They thought he was arrogant. He was not arrogant. He was observing. He was collecting data. He paid the ransom, raised a fleet, returned, and crucified every single one of them. The collapse is not the end of your story. It is the chapter where you reveal what you are truly made of. Do not waste the collapse. It is the most expensive teacher you will ever have. Pay attention. 8. The automation of the prince, the throne of discipline. Finally, we reach the summit. You now understand the tools. You understand that perfection is a mask. You understand that streaks are leashes. You understand that speed of return is the only metric. You understand that identity is forged, not found. You understand that failure is data. But understanding is not enough. Machiavellian philosophy despises the intellectual who admires the sword but never draws it. You must now automate the system. The prince does not wake up each morning and ask, "Do I feel like ruling today?" He rules because it is who he is. The action is automatic. It is not a choice. It is a reflex. You must make your comebacks automatic. You cannot trust your future self. Your future self will be tired, hungry, distracted, and emotional. Your future self will make excuses, so you must build the cage now while you are clear-headed. Write your recovery protocol today, not tomorrow, today. Step 1. Admit the streak is dead, out loud. Step 2. Do the smallest possible version of the task, 1 push-up, 1 sentence, 1 minute of focus. Step 3. Log the comeback. Put this protocol on your wall. Put it on your phone wallpaper. Do not negotiate with it. Do not ask your tired self for permission. The protocol is law. Machiavellian example. The law does not ask the citizen if he feels like paying taxes. The law demands compliance. Your personal law must be equally cold. You are not punishing yourself. You are removing the burden of decision. When the protocol is automatic, you no longer waste energy fighting yourself. You simply act. This is the throne of discipline. It is not comfortable. It is not flashy. It is boring, repetitive, and utterly unstoppable. This is the mind of the prince. So here is your final instruction. It is not complicated. It is not poetic. It is the distillation of everything you have heard today. When you fall, and you will fall, do not look in the mirror and curse the man you see. He is not your enemy. He is your soldier, and he is wounded. Dress the wound. Hand him his sword. Point him back at the battlefield. That is your only job. Do not wait until Monday. Do not wait until you feel ready. Do not wait until you have the perfect system. Do not wait until the shame subsides. Move now, while the shame is still fresh. Move now, while the failure is still stinging. Move now, because the gap between the fall and the rise is where men are sorted into rulers and subjects. The subjects stay on the ground, waiting for someone to help them up. The rulers scrape their own knees and keep walking.